All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Week number 11. We got the Sunday slate to jump into in today's video. Like we always do, we're gonna go through each and every game on the slate of Sunday, except for Sunday Night Football. That will be its own video if you're looking for that. But we're gonna go through all of these other games. I'm gonna give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. But as always, my final plays, those will be in the pinned comment if you do want to fade my picks. Speaking of fade me.store. I have the Grinch tee on right now. Let's see if you can see the back. Pretty damn cool design. When's the last time you saw the Grinch with a beer? Probably the first time right there. FadeMe.store. Go check out our merch, guys. But yeah, like I said, we got the Sunday slate to jump into. We're coming off of a good week number 10 and already off to a good start in week number 11. So let's stay hot in the NFL here. Yeah, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button, and let's jump into game number 1 here. We got Cleveland taking on Pittsburgh. There's a few matchups on today's slate that just are not the sexiest of matchups. I'm not really excited to dive into them, and I probably won't be betting them when it comes to final plays, right? This, quite honestly, is one of them, but we will talk about it. So obviously Deshaun Watson out for a year, getting surgery. He actually played well last week, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, broke his shoulder, which is crazy, but he is out. Right now the total sitting at 33, and Cleveland's actually home favorites at -1.5. Now I'll start with the total because I do like a low scoring game here, but that is a very low total. Like, that total itself is a low score, right? So yes, you have two really good defenses, but that total is doable even if things get carried away. So I lean towards the under, but I don't necessarily envision myself making that a final play, to be completely honest. If it was some sort of a same game parlay that we wanted to do and bump that up to say 40, 41, that type of thing, it could definitely pique my interest. But over to the spread side of things, now I wanted to go and look at Pittsburgh here because they don't have the bombshell of their quarterback being out, right? And it is a legitimate defense. Sometimes their offense looks like it's okay. They're not really the team that's going to go out there and drop 30. In fact, they haven't scored 30 all year long, but still, sometimes they can move the ball. But they don't have, my bigger point there is, they don't have the bombshell of, oops, where's our quarterback now, right? But why is Vegas hanging the points with Cleveland, right? Like, how does that still make sense? Do they trust Cleveland at home and their defense that much? It is a very good home team. They're 4-1 this season at home. So that's kind of keeping me away from this, to be completely honest. I think Pittsburgh probably could be the more consistent team here, especially moving forward, because they have their roster, whereas Cleveland's gonna have to figure some things out. But we've already seen them look good and bad without Deshaun Watson, right? So the fact that the Cleveland is favorites in this game is kind of making me sniff some sort of a trap, because I think a lot of people are gonna take a peek at this and go, oh my god, yeah, duh, Pittsburgh, Deshaun Watson's out. And I think that might be what Vegas is trying to get everyone to do. And right now, 72% of the public is on Pittsburgh. So yeah, think about that. It's a little trappish to me, but nonetheless, guys, not my favorite game. Let's move on. All right, next up, we have Houston taking on Arizona. Houston favored at home here by 6 points. Total sitting at 48. Both those numbers make sense to me. This is a Houston team that obviously is playing some good football. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're crushing it against the spread, right? They've lost 2 games against the spread in their last 3, but they've won 2 games of their last 3. And the one that they lost was against Carolina, and it's kind of like, they probably could have and should have won that game, right? But beating Cincinnati last week 30-27, you can't really fade this offense, and I don't know if Arizona keeps up with this offense. So I'm going to take a peek here at the over as well as Houston. Again, it is a matter of, I think Houston puts up a decent amount of points. If Arizona doesn't follow suit, then it probably kills the over as well. But just the way Houston's been playing, like, it doesn't mean you have to jump on board and ride the hot team, but they do have the momentum and they are playing decent and good football, right? So it's kind of silly to fade them and jump on board with an Arizona team that's been bad all season. They do get their quarterback Kyler Murray back, but I'm not ready to be like, oh my god, here, Arizona's back, they're really good. Like, they beat Atlanta 25-3. I need to see a little bit more before I'm all over that and taking this spot. If this was 7.5, say, as a spread, I probably don't touch Houston whatsoever, because I do think the fact that this is pretty much in a touchdown and an extra point within that range, I like. But if it got any more crazy, so keep an eye on the line, right? If it moves, if it got any more crazy, I probably wouldn't touch it. But again, let me lay the points with Houston in terms of a lean as well as the over, just because we've seen this Houston team put up a bunch of points as of late. Their last 2 games, 39-37, 30-27. It's a team that's doing some crazy things as of late. All right, Green Bay taking on the Chargers. If you guys tuned into H2H, the head-to-head show that I do with Tassos on the channel, he is using the Fade Me round, which if you don't know what it is, go watch the show. It's really, really cool long-form video. He's forcing me to take Green Bay on the show. I don't know if I like it. I have a trouble, with the idea of backing Jordan Love and this Green Bay team. So I'm going to flip it from that show because I had no say in that. I am going to look at the Chargers here minus the 3 points. I think that they are just a way better team, but the only thing that scares me, and I talked about it in that show, is that this Chargers team has not really impressed me whatsoever when it comes to any sort of game. They're actually ranked, the 5th worst when it comes to defensive DVOA ranking. Offensively, yes, they are a little better, but nothing that's like crazy, right? Like they're still a team that's in the, I would say, top 10, but borderline top 10 DVOA rankings for when it comes to offensive ranking. So hopefully they can put up a lot of points and just get to a number that this Green Bay team cannot put up. Like Chargers put up 38 points against the Lions last week. The Lions win that game 41-38, but you're looking at a Chargers team that in their last 3 weeks now, it hasn't been the toughest of competition, but they played the Bears, put up 30. They played the Jets, put up 27. That's at least a pretty good defense. And then they played Detroit and put up 38, right? The Green Bay on the other side, let me read off their point totals for the last 5 weeks here, right? 13, 17, 10, 20, and 19. So regardless of defense here, that's where the Chargers lack. So does Green Bay, but Green Bay also lacks on the offensive side. So give me the Chargers here by the field goal. In terms of a final score and in a total here, I do think that this could be a spot in which we see, near 44 points, but I'm going to keep it and cap it at like 41, 42. So the slightest of underleans in this spot for me. Again, I think the Chargers are going to have no problem scoring, but will Green Bay sort of follow suit? I don't think so. This could be a 24, 17 type of a game where the Green Bay can't get to that 20 mark, and we still stay under. All right, guys, before we continue on, Sleeper's hooking up yet again for first-time depositors. You get your deposit matched, and you get one of these, depending on the day you sign up, one of these free squares for either Sunday night or Monday Night Football. Sleeper hooking up with the discounts all the time. Right now, for all users, not just new users, they're running a Twitter poll to figure out who the discount will be, and they're discounting a prop by 25%. So make sure to check out Sleeper, guys. I've been loving the app. If it's legal in your state and you're not signed up yet, you are missing out on some serious week-to-week fun. It's a pick map just like Prize Picks or Underdog, but each and every play that you make has its own dynamic multiplier. They don't follow the fixed payout structure. So I'm not BSing you guys. I'm on Sleeper every single day. You've seen it in the shorts. You've seen it on TikTok. Make sure to go check it out. 100% of your first deposit matched if you use the link in the pinned comment, and you can get some free squares there. Go check it out, guys. That, again, is Sleeper. Now let's move on to this game. And remember I said there's a few games here in which I really don't have the utmost of interest in terms of betting myself, but we'll still nonetheless cover it. We do have the Washington Commanders here taking on the New York Giants. This is a Giants team that is, I don't know, is it a stretch to say one of the worst teams that we've seen in a long time? And what I mean by that is they've had such a stroke and stretch of bad luck. Like, we get that, but even still, like, they just cannot get out of their own way. 49-17 against Dallas, and that easily could have been like a 49-3 game. You know what I mean? Like they got a couple late touchdowns because they were pressing for the rest of the game here. And they beat Washington, what was it, 3 or 4 weeks ago? So Washington has a little bit of animosity, you have to imagine, coming into this spot. But 9 points? 9 points is a lot, so it keeps me probably away from this spread altogether. No chance am I laying 9 points with Washington, right? In fact, Washington, the last time I think that they were 9-point favorites, let's see, not last time, but in their last 10 as being 9-point favorites. I believe I had it up in front of me. Let's see if I can find it. As 9.5-point favorites, which they are this week, and 9 depending on where you get it. 10 straight games in not covering that line. Not necessarily losing outright, but not covering that line. Like, that's kind of tough to put your money behind, right? So I fade the spread in this game because I also don't want to put my money on the Giants side of things. But when it comes to a total there, I could see the over hitting. Like, both these defenses I don't believe in, and if Washington goes out there and they think they're going to win by 9, it means Washington has to have some sort of offensive success, because this isn't a defense like Dallas that, Washington is, right? Like, the Giants should at least be able to give you maybe 2 touchdowns, and if Washington's going to be here winning by 9 according to Vegas, then we should be looking at a game that, has a floor of, maybe 37. So as crazy as it is, in fact, we'll sound the psycho alert alarm. As crazy as it is, I might like the over in this game because it's a low line and there's not much of like a true, defensive superpower in this game. Like Washington and the Giants, Washington 30th in defensive DVOA rank, Giants 29th in defensive DVOA rank. Yikes. So I might be looking at the over. As crazy as it is, as much as I don't like the matchup, could be putting some money on that. All right, next up, Jacksonville hosting Tennessee. This is a game in which we usually see Derrick Henry eat, so don't be surprised if we throw some Derrick Henry player props in the pinned comment as well. It seems like he always crushes Jacksonville. And what I will say is, though Tennessee hasn't looked all that great this season, they haven't won a game on the road, like 7 points is a lot to give. This has been a Jacksonville team that's 1-3 at home on the year as well. And if Derrick Henry's going to eat, Tennessee may be able to stay in this game. So I'm going to look at the under. It's 39.5 on my sheet here, but you can actually get it over on FanDuel at 40.5 right now. So that's an extra point. And if this is going to be a slow pace, sort of run it up the middle with Henry type of a game, and we see an under, which I predict, then I could see this staying to within a field goal. Now, obviously you have two teams that don't have the most prolific offenses and somewhat decent defenses. Like, we know that Jacksonville defense is good. And this Tennessee defense, on some occasions this year, has looked pretty good. The offense has looked tough, but again, I think that this is a spot in which they could actually keep this game close and it becomes a grinded out type game. So give me the under as well as Tennessee +7. If this was, 4.5, something like that, I might be staying off, but you're going to give me a touchdown and a field goal and an extra point. I mean, I'll take it. I like Derrick Henry in this game too. So +7 as well as the under 40.5. All right, Detroit taking on Chicago. I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, the Bears are getting better, and it's like, what? Well, they're not, right? Like, yes, they've won a couple games as of late, but even in their last 4-game stretch, Las Vegas, Chargers, New Orleans, and Carolina, like Chargers being the best team in that group, and yet they're still 2-2 during that stretch. So I don't really like this spot. You do have a Detroit offense that seems to be absolutely clicking right now, and if there's one thing we know, even as of late, even with some changes, that this isn't the best of defenses when it comes to Chicago. Now, they did pick up, obviously, sweating, like they look a little bit better when it comes to defense, the defensive side of the ball, but they haven't really been tested yet. And I do think that this is a spot in where Detroit comes in. It's like, hey, yeah, we're a real football team. Remember us? So give me Detroit here minus the points. Total sitting at 48 points. It does seem a little bit high, but if, like I just said, the Lions have been putting up a bunch of points. Can the Bears keep up with them? I'm not exactly sure. So I'm going to reluctantly lean towards the under in this spot. But again, beware that Detroit could literally go out there and cover 75% of this total themselves if they get hot there. So that is obviously a potential possibility. All right, Miami taking on Las Vegas here. I think this one seems pretty simple. I don't necessarily want to dive in and overthink it, right? Like, I don't think it's very smart to be backing the Raiders whatsoever. They don't look all that great. You could be like, oh, well, they've won 2 straight games. Yippee-ki-yay. Giants and Jets. Come on, let's be real, people. Whereas Miami's had quite some time to think about their loss to Kansas City after playing overseas, right? So I think they're going to come into this one fired up. They are at home. They're undefeated at home, and I like their chances here to win this game by, it's actually 12.5 over on FanDuel. So, inside 2 touchdowns, I could easily see them putting up 30-plus points, which I don't think you'll catch the Vegas Raiders doing in 2 of their last 3 games. They put up 30 against the Giants. How are they going to be able to do that 2 times in a row when they've only done it once this entire season, right? Or 2 times within 3 games, I should say. So give me Miami here. Total sitting at 46. It's tough because Miami could absolutely go off and the Raiders could stink, and all of a sudden it's like a 31-10 game, and it's like, whoa, this is an absolute blowout, but we're still below the number there. So I'm gonna cross my fingers that the Raiders can go out there and get 14 points, maybe 17 to make this even easier, and Miami can do the rest. So I'll look at the over 46, but again, like this is probably going to be a one-sided affair, or at least should be a one-sided affair. So should make you a little nervous taking an over like this. Carolina taking on the Cowboys. It is crazy. There are so many spots this week that it's just like, really, we have to go through that game. But we're doing it. Carolina here getting 10.5 points. Doesn't seem like enough. They did get their sole win of the year at home a couple weeks ago. So there's something to be said there, I guess. When they do get a win, it has been at home. But this is a Dallas team that loves beating up on bad teams. I talked about it on H to H, guys. I actually have Dallas's team total over 26.5 there. They are averaging like 37 points per win, meaning they go out there and crush teams. And when they play these bad teams, Giants week number 1, 40-0. Jets week number 2, 30-10. They play the Patriots 38-3. Giants last week 49-17. The Rams, they look good against 43-20. Like, they don't let their foot off the gas. So if Dallas is going to win this game, it should be by a boatload of points. Do you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't look like that 10.5 number is a huge number, because it's not huge the way this Dallas team plays. Like, they'll keep throwing the ball. Dak Prescott pads his stats. Like, it is kind of what Dallas does. So give me Dallas here minus the 10.5 points. Total sitting at 42.5. If this one gets down to like 40.5 or something like that by game time, I wouldn't hate the over, because you do have, a Carolina offense that if they give you 10 points, I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys go out there and put up 31. You know what I mean? So I'll lean towards the over here. But again, a lot of one-sided affair over leans that I'm looking at in today's video. In fact, three game breakdowns in a row, right? Detroit, Miami, and now Dallas. I'm looking at those numbers and saying, okay, well, it's going to be one-sided. It's kind of tough, but yeah, I don't mind Dallas minus the 10.5 points. That does not seem like it's a crazy number to me whatsoever. And not that, we're rolling this right into the next game with crazy number, but 12 points is a little bit too much for me to be comfortable with laying as San Francisco. You have two good defenses going at it here. And Tampa Bay's defense, though they've kind of struggled back and forth, or at times, I should say, they are a pretty good defense. You just saw them, suppress Tennessee to 6 points. Tennessee ain't the offense that the San Francisco 49ers are. I totally understand that. But a good defense can keep you in a game, hopefully, and 12 points is a lot to lay from a San Francisco team that just got back on the win train last week. So could they go out there and win by 1 million? Yeah, of course. They're probably the best team in the league. People forgot about them for a couple weeks because they had injuries and they just weren't playing as well as normal. I don't think I'm going to be ending this with a final play of Tampa Bay plus the 12 points, but I know that I'm not going to lean towards San Francisco because 12 points seems like it's a little bit too much for me. Those two games are crazy. San Francisco, even in wins, they'll blow teams out, but they won't necessarily run away with it. Now you're going to say, look, they beat Pittsburgh by X and they beat, Dallas even they blew out. I know that they've had plenty of blowouts, but right now this team I wouldn't say is firing at all cylinders, and they're coming off of a win where everybody's gonna want to think the opposite of what I just said. Oh, but they just blew out the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? And that's immediately when I think the opposite. This could be a win by San Francisco, but it could be a 21-17, 21-14 type win, low scoring game that they win, but they don't necessarily pull away with. They are a team that, if they are up, they will try and run the ball and chew clock and whatnot, whereas Dallas is kind of like more points, right? So keep that in mind, guys. Again, you can call me crazy because look at the games they've had. Yes, they've run away with damn near every one of the wins that they've had, but this is a better defense than they've seen for the majority of the year. They've ran away with it with Jacksonville, so there's the argument to be made, and I'm fine with you guys disagreeing, but I just don't necessarily see this one being a runaway type of game. I think it's gonna be a slower paced game than them putting up 30 plus points, which also leads into me leaning towards the under. All right, Rams taking on the Seahawks. I do think the Seahawks come to play in this one, so I jumped to the over right away because I think that both of these teams are going to put up a decent amount of points. Now, Rams getting points at home is kind of what swayed me here. I like them. I think that they can win this game outright, even as, it's only a 1 point underdog, but an underdog nonetheless. So I'm going to lean towards Rams. I just hope that this game has a decent amount of points because I think my favorite play in this game is going to be taking a peek at the over. I think this gets to, I think both teams can put up, 20 plus, meaning give me one extra touchdown somewhere else. So give me the over 46. Then again, slightly lean towards the Rams, but I'll take them on the money line if I do bet them because you're going to be getting, probably minus 105 compared to minus 110 at +1, right? Like, what's that +1 really do? You could, push. No, win the game or nothing for me. Buffalo taking on the Jets. This is a weird one as well because you immediately think, well, Buffalo's going to crush them, right? But when's the last time Buffalo has looked like they're crushing teams? Like, this is not the Buffalo Bills that we all thought were the Buffalo Bills. Like, they even only beat the Tampa Bay, the Bucks a couple weeks back by, 6 points or so. Then they lose to Cincinnati, lose on Monday night, or what was it? Yeah, Monday Night Football against Denver, and now 7 points against the Jets, a team that beat them opening night, with all the drama of Aaron Rodgers and everything like that. So it's kind of weird to me here. I do think the Bills win this game, but I guess in terms of against the spread, I think the Jets could keep this to within a touchdown. My favorite play on this game is probably going to be a slight lean towards the under. We already saw these two teams play, and it was a 22-16 game, right? And I do think that obviously you look at that and you're like, okay, 22-16, that's 38. That's getting pretty damn close to this. They went into overtime. That was a 32 total in regulation. So worth, noting there, right? So I do think that this could be a slow type of game. And plus, you think of Buffalo having that explosive offense offense and being able to put up a bunch of points. Like their recent games, you wouldn't say that, you know, they've scored, I think it's sub 23 or sub 24 points or something like that in 3 of their last 6 games, or 4 of the last 6 games, if I'm not mistaken. So not really the explosive offense that you saw for the first year, you know, I guess you could say weeks 2 through 3, when they had, you know, the run between Las Vegas and Jacksonville was the kind of their start to slow down, right? But yeah, that's the way we're leaning in this spot, guys. I think it's going to be a sluggish game, and I think the Jets could keep it close. But if you're looking for a money line play in terms of a parlay or something, I don't hate Buffalo because they got to right the ship at some point, right? But yeah, guys, that's all we have for you today. If you are still watching, make sure to comment 20. Let me know that you guys are still watching as of right now. Appreciate all of the support as of late. I know the picks have been on fire, but still, there's more to the win-loss here that's going on. I want to build the community, the best community out there, and all of us are part of it. Even the guppies, even the haters out there. You know, I love the comments and everything like that because it really has been a huge step up for the channel during the NBA season, the NFL, as well as MLB. So I appreciate the hell out of you guys. And yeah, we're not stopping here. We're going to keep grinding, keep getting up early, keep putting out a million videos a week for you guys. I love it, and we'll keep doing it, all right? But yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.